quick apology for today's episode. Normally I record on two different devices. One is a professional microphone and the other is my headphones, which feed into the Twitter space that I record live on. And I forgot to turn on the professional microphone, so I had to use the audio from the headphones from the direct Twitter space, so it's not as clean as it normally is. But I went in afterwards. I did my best to clean it up. I think it sounds pretty good, and this is a good episode. And I just want to preface that. Enjoy today's episode. Rundown of today's episode. So yesterday I talked about FouseyTube's redemption arc, an absolutely inspiring comeback story. But I didn't talk about the biggest takeaways that I have from that. So I'm going to talk about the takeaways, what I'm learning and how we can all apply that, and how it relates to my favorite framework for content, which I'll talk about. And then MrBeast, the biggest YouTuber in the world, he might even be the biggest TikToker in the world. I'm listening to a podcast with him now from 2 years ago, and he makes a very wrong prediction in the podcast. And I think it's quite interesting because even the greats get things wrong. So I'm going to share that. And we shouldn't beat ourselves up. If somebody like MrBeast can get a content prediction wrong, let's just all keep doing our best and being consistent. Quick recap, 5-second recap of the FouseyTube redemption arc. 10 years ago, FouseyTube was consistently viral on YouTube. I met him a bunch of times at conferences that we were both invited to. He was making a lot of money and he was recognized and YouTube famous. 2 years ago, he was universally hated, broke, overcoming various addictions, still YouTube famous, but irrelevant. And now he's loved even by his haters. He's YouTube and Twitch famous. He's relevant again, and he's making money. And what he did was he started streaming live on Twitch 24/7, even while he sleeps. He's streaming all the time, and he became humble. And he frequently admits that he was a POS, a piece of poop. Frequently admits it. So, main takeaways. That was a 5-second recap of FouseyTube, a little bit more than 5 seconds. The main takeaways: 1, be nice. 2, find a unique spin on a niche. Nobody with Fousey's unique story streams everything and shares everything. He literally shares everything all the time, 7 days a week. And this is the same thesis that I have with my podcast. I'm doing my podcast daily. Why am I doing this? I believe that very few people of my experience and my charisma do daily podcasts. Most do it 2 times a week or 1 time a week, once a week. And here's how this pairs well with my favorite content framework. So this content framework is called Content Inc. It's a book. I read it 1 year ago in summer of last year, summer of 2022. And it really changed my life. And basically what it says is you have 4 variables to center your content around. You need to zone in on each one of these variables. Variable 1 is niche. What is your niche? Variable 2 is what is your spin on the niche? Variable 3, which platform are you on? Variable 4 is what is your content type? We're going to use Miss Excel, who I've talked about a lot on this podcast. She's now building a several $100 million Microsoft Office empire. And we're going to use her as an example. So when she started, her niche was Excel training, Microsoft Excel training. Whereas a lot of other Excel training was very corporate and bland and boring, Miss Excel, her spin was it was fun and it was non-corporate. Her platform was TikTok and her content type was mobile video. short form mobile video, very different from the corporate style. And that was her spin. And as a result, she has all these deals with Microsoft Office. She's doing her framework with the Microsoft Office suite. And she's building a several $100 million empire doing this. She has crazy corporate deals with some of the biggest enterprise companies where she teaches their employees different skills in Microsoft Office tools. So in Fousey's case, this is the takeaway. Fousey's case, his spin is 24/7 streaming. For my podcast, my spin is daily episodes. So he's doing this 24/7 streaming as a spin, and it's working really well for him because nobody like him does this. It's working so well. He's doing it on Twitch. That's his platform. Content type is live streaming, and his spin is 24/7. His niche, I think he hits a bunch of different niches, but the rest of his variables are pretty unique. When it comes to my podcasts, I was doing some research a few days ago, and I wanted to look at daily podcasts that had failed. The high frequency spin that I'm doing, the high frequency content spin that I'm doing and that Fousey is doing, it's hard to do, but typically this results in learnings and growth really fast. That's why it's a great thing to do, because you grow fast and you learn fast, and that compounds the growth. But even people who are doing this can fail. Everybody can fail, and it's important to learn from failures. So I did a deep dive to see why different daily podcasts failed. And sure enough, many people who had attempted daily podcasts, after they gave up, they wrote about why it failed. They wrote about why they gave up. And they all failed for the same reason. It became too much work and it stopped being fun. So if you take on this high frequency spin, you have to make sure to keep it fun and easy enough for you to do. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. This is an important lesson to avoid burnout, but it's a cool spin on various types of content. A high frequency spin that Fousey is doing, that I'm doing, that so many others are doing in different ways. I think another great example would be Casey Neistat. When he pioneered daily vlogging, he was putting out a highly produced daily vlog each day. He became mega famous and influential. I love Casey Neistat. I saw him a few weeks ago. Actually, it was a few months ago, and I was meditating. Crazy story. I'm going to share it. Every morning at 6:40 a.m., I do a sitting meditation on a bench outside. I've been doing this since April in Poland. Now I'm in New York City. And my second day back, returning to New York, this must have been May 16th or 17th. And I'm sitting at the Gowanus Canal in Brooklyn at 6:40 in the morning. I'm sitting there, I'm doing my sitting, staring meditation, and I'm staring directly in front of me. And I'm looking out at this lamp pole, because I just like to pick a target and fixate on it and stare at it. And I hear footsteps coming, and there's plenty of joggers even at 6 in the morning. So I just assume it's another jogger. And the footsteps approach and approach and approach, and I don't look at the jogger. Too many of them, I don't want to get distracted on anyone. And then the jogger comes into my field of vision, and I had just been binging Casey Neistat's content. I listened to a 3-hour podcast that he did. I try to learn as much as I can from these video streaming greats like Casey, like MrBeast's. I'd just been binging his content while living in Poland. And I'm sitting there doing my morning meditation, and into my field of vision runs the man himself, Casey Neistat. And then he runs right out of my field of vision, and I hear him jog away. And I honestly considered interrupting my meditation, but my meditations are very sacred. I don't like to, I think it's important to just, once I sit down, to just stick with it. So I didn't stop myself to go and try to say hello and be a crazy fanboy. But afterwards I was like, wow, that was Casey. I just got back to New York. And I was so happy. Like, this is a sign of great things to come, of great content to come. That's my Casey story. We run with the same crew like all the time because I was making all these viral videos from back in the day. And I've been at events that he's been at, et cetera, et cetera. But it was weird because I had spent like the last year outside the United States. I had just been binging his content while living in a different country. And then I come back and I'm sitting in Brooklyn at the Gowanus Canal in this like tight little area meditating. You would never expect to see him in an area like this. And then he just runs in there at 6:40 in the morning. In and out. And it was cool. Okay, so back to the Fousey story. The high frequency spin. I think it's a great spin. It's just really hard to do. So you got to keep it fast. Here's how I keep my daily podcast fast. This is my daily podcast I'm recording right now. Here's how I keep it fast and fun. I don't spend too long on preparation. So I have to talk about things that are top of mind for me, which means they're also more interesting for me because I'm actively thinking about them. And that also makes it more fun. So I'm able to keep it fun. I'm able to keep it fast and lighthearted, but it's also something that I'm thinking about deeply. So I believe that I'm bringing value while I'm talking about these things. And in Fousey's case, I mean, how much preparation is Fousey doing when he's doing a 24/7 stream? Great content in a lot of cases. And I say this time and time again, it's energy transference. You are bringing great vibes and some educational content to the people who are listening to you, who are watching you, who are looking at your pictures, whatever the content is. And by keeping it fun for me, I'm able to keep it positive for you. So that's what I do. That's my philosophy. And Fousey is killing it with the 24/7 streaming, with the Content Inc. style 24/7 spin. There's the lesson there. MrBeast. Okay, so I'm listening to, I think I'm like 3/4 of the way from the Colin and Samir podcast that MrBeast was on 2 years ago. These guys, Colin and Samir, they have a podcast for creators. They talk about different creator lessons. They just had MrBeast on again, but they also had him on 2 years ago when he was really starting to blow up. And he was talking about the different channels that he started. He had at the time he had started MrBeast Reacts, MrBeast Gaming. He had the main MrBeast channel. He also started a MrBeast Shorts channel. And he's talking on the podcast about how he thinks Reacts, the Reacts channel, is going to be 2 times the size of the gaming channel. He said that a React channel can grow way more than a gaming channel, whereas like the gaming channels were topping out at 300 to 500 million views a month, even the top ones. And he didn't think it could get big enough, but a React channel could get much bigger. That's what he thought. And this was a prediction that he made 2 years ago. I was listening to this podcast as I was walking home. When I got home, I said, I need to check this. I go to my computer and I check this, and it ended up being the opposite. MrBeast's gaming channel is 2x the size of his React channel, not in terms of followers, but in terms of engagement on each video. His gaming channel has 36.5 million subscribers. His React channel has 27.2 million subscribers. His last video on the React channel was 2 months ago. His last video on the gaming channel was 2 weeks ago. His most recent video on the gaming channel has 32 million views. His most recent video on the React channel has 15 million views. So he was completely wrong. He was completely wrong in this. And I share this story not to throw shade or anything, but to say he is right now the greatest content producer there is. He is extremely extremely prolific. He's the biggest on YouTube. He may be the biggest on TikTok. One of the biggest on IG. Puts out renowned content globally, translated into every major language. And even somebody like him can get some predictions wrong. And so I say this to say, don't worry about being wrong. Just worry about being consistent and learning as much and as fast as you can. Everybody gets things wrong. And it's okay that you get things wrong, but it's not okay if you don't try. So try some things and be consistent. If you decide to go the high frequency path, like I am doing, or like Fousey is doing, and even MrBeast is doing, keep it fun. And I believe great things will come your way. This is episode number 18 of The Edward Show. Thank you so much for listening. I have so much fun recording these. And this was great. I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.